Alright guys, Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. What I've got for you today is a reaction and hopefully a bit of analysis if I can get my simple rock musician brain around this playing. What I'm assuming is going to be a fantastic duet called Sprout between the guitarist Ichika Nito, let me know how much I butchered that, and Yvette Young. I think I've got that right. So I know both of these players. I'm not going to pretend for a second I don't. I've never heard them play together. This is way above my pay grade, my skill set. So hopefully I'll be able to learn something from here. Whether I can or not is a whole different issue. I'm really interested to see how these two guitarists play together, if they kind of harmonise or if they kind of call and response. Just before we crack into it, if you have a suggestion, make sure to hit me up on patreon.com/jbfmusic, or if you just have the means and the inclination to support the channel. On that note, I want to give a huge shout out and a massive thank you to the ever awesome Rabbi Rabs, Matt Hartzman, Glenn Kelly, Stephen Williams, Rebecca Hay and Dale's Ghost. Thanks so much for your support on the platform, guys. It lets me keep doing these things. I always ramble on at the start of these, but that's why the timestamps are there. You can just jump ahead if you don't want to listen to me, which is perfectly fine. So let's go for it. Sprout. Nice. There's a drum kit as well. That's too much. Yeah, my little brain can't handle it. Okay, no, okay. Right. So, yeah, no, I've lost again. As soon as I kind of, as soon as I look into what one of them's doing, I lose track. It's very cool. It's busy, but there's enough space that they're not getting on each other's toes. Okay, so. Oh, lovely. Cool little harmony to end up there. So by the end of that, I think I was beginning to catch on to what's happening a little bit. So Yvette Young's doing this kind of groove in the bottom. I'll put it a bit further back. So if you listen out for that bit, I'll pop it back a little bit longer. 2, 3, 4. That's Yvette Young doing that in the lower part. Boom, 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 boom. So what I'll probably won't be able to do is work out hopefully that part, hopefully what the lead's doing, and at least give you guys something more worthwhile than me just looking confused. So kind of tip number one, if it looks like the hands are doing weird stuff and it doesn't line up with what your own guitar is doing, they might be in a different tuning, which I think is what's going on here. Correct me in the comments as ever if I'm wrong, because I often am, and this is the only way I'll learn. So it seems to be that Yvette's got on her guitar in a kind of open F sharp major 7 tuning. So we've got the low strings moved up to an E, next string's still an A. No, sorry, the E's moved up to an F, then we've got an A, then this one's dropped down to a C. E's moved up to an F, up a bit better. The B has moved to a C, and that E's still an E. So from the lowest string, the thickest one, got an F, A, got a C, F, C, E. So the reason I call this an F major 7 open tuning is if you play all the open strings, like with nothing fretted, you get an F major 7 chord. It's a really lovely voicing of it. What I'm going to do to try and mimic how she plays it is go on the neck pickup of my telly, so it'll be a bit softer, and use my fingers. So this little lick here, what is it? Get it eventually again. Okay, so just as a side note, I've moved on to using both these pickups because I think it sounds a little bit more authentic, a little bit brighter. So we've got, I'll do the neck just for example so you can hear. It's nice, but it's a wee bit, it's getting a bit dull for me. So what we've got is quite a few tricky things going on here. So we've got the first finger is going on the first fret on the 5th string, and you're going to play the open B string at the same time. then take your third finger and you hammer on the second fret on the B while keeping this one stationary. This is the hard part because you're going to want to move this first finger as well. You keep it still. Right. Bring your second finger into the mix, and that goes on the first fret on the 6th string. So of this, hammer on. What she seems to be doing is picking quite close to the to the neck here. It has a different tone, a bit less spanked, a bit smoother. So experiment with yourself, you know, your pickups, where you play it, because every guitar is different, every player is a bit different. This bit isn't too bad. So you got the 3rd fret on the 5th string, and we have the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. I'm going to play those twice. So I'm using my thumb for this lower string, and I'm just using my 2nd finger for the what used to be the G string. And you could use your 1st finger, I just find that a bit more comfortable. So we're going to hit that once. 2nd time we're going to play it again, but slide up a tone, slide back down. So you go. And then it's really sneaky here, there's an open 5th string and an open 4th string. So you have to lift up the 2nd finger from the 5th string to let that happen. So I'll play it slowly, then I'll do a kind of close-up of it. So we've got... Right. Now, like I say, this kind of playing isn't something I'm particularly used to at all, but I do have a few tricks to make life a bit easier for you. So I've brought up here the patch that I'm using. It's pretty straightforward. I've got a compressor that's fairly high, I think. What did I do with it? Yeah, compression on 6, a kind of slow attack and a kind of slow release, and about 50% of it mixed in. If you take it off, there's a lot more dynamics. So if I put it on, everything's it's just kind of like boosting the volume of things essentially. So I can play a notes a bit softer, still come through quite nicely. I can play them a bit harder, and it'll kind of calm them down a little bit. What I've done here is put an EQ in, and you can see all I've done is lumped off a ton of the low end here. If I turn it off, it gets a bit muddy. Oops. Particularly on the neck pickup. Put that on. So just a bit more sparkle, right? Yeah. So you lose some of that kind of woomph, but you get a lot more clarity. It's just going into an amp. I think it's a really... Yeah, I picked a rectifier here, so you can use any amp that's on the cusp of breakup into a cabinet, bit of delay. If I put the delay up, it's kind of that kind of slapback thing, but got it down really quiet so you don't hear it too much. Then the reverb, if I put that up in the mix, yeah, so it's a big kind of studio reverb, so a nice little chime to it. I'll pop the delay off so you can hear the verb by itself. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. And all these sorts of little things, the delay and the reverb and the compressor, is just going to make it a little bit easier to play because it's going to sound a bit better. There's this feedback loop happens when we play. If we like what we hear, if we like not just the notes but the sound of it, we feel more comfortable and we play a bit better. Right, so I'm going to break this down how I think he's doing it. I'm not entirely sure, and I won't be able to play it as fast or as smoothly as this. In terms of my tone, I've added more compression because these are P90 pickups, which are much more unforgiving in terms of dynamics. I'm using the neck pickup. I think I prefer the tone of the neck in the middle, so kind of turn it up, that would help. But the tapping is very quiet and hard to do, whereas on the neck, it's a little bit more output, so it's a little bit easier. Okay, so we're in standard tuning here. You want to have your first finger on the 13th fret on the A string. Probably second finger, is that what he's doing? Let's check the way he's doing it. Yeah. Yeah, whatever's more comfortable. I probably prefer using the third finger. He's using his second finger on the 15th fret on the, by the looks of it, I could be wrong there, 15th fret on the B, fourth finger, 17th fret on the E. As I say, I find it more comfortable using my third finger there on that B string. What you're going to do is hybrid picking. If you've not encountered this before, I'll link to a short kind of tutorial, like a foot in the door style one with an up there. But you basically hold the pick between your first finger and your thumb and use the other fingers to pick strings. So we're going to pick the A string with the pick. But at the same time, we're going to pick the B string and the E string. So the B string we're going to pick with our second finger, and the E string we're going to pick with our third finger. And all that together. And what he's doing is bringing the pick over here and hitting that E string one more time with the pick to get that kind of snap. As you can hear, the flesh is weak compared to the pick. So you get more attack there. Then we've got the clever little tappy bit. Right, so we're gonna go. Here, I don't know if he's sliding or if he's picking the notes, I'll explain both ways. Basically like a D shape, you know your D major. Playing that up here. So you got 13 on the G string, no 12 on the G string, 13 on the B, 12 on the E. And you're gonna kind of gently kind of break through that. Use your little finger to hammer on the 13th fret on the E string. Your second finger on this, like mental gymnastics for guitarists, isn't it? Second finger on your right hand to tap the 15th fret. So we have, and pull off. So then you either is sliding up to this 17th fret on the G or picking it with the plectrum. You can either have, or slide it, which I probably do because I'm not very good at this and it's a little bit easier. Path of least resistance, often the best path. Even that's difficult. Then we're doing a bit more hybrid picking. So you have the 18th fret, on the B string, and the 20th fret on the E. I play those together, so you get this lovely inverted power chord. I'll try and thread that whole thing together a bit more slowly and then do the different angles again. So what have we got? I'll try not doing the slide and picking the note and see if that sounds any better. Yeah, so I think you might be better picking that one, but leave it up to you. For the record, this has taken me a considerable amount of time because it's just not my wheelhouse to get these things down, particularly that lead part there. And this is a whole song like that they're playing. It's not just one little lick where I can do kind of 10 takes or more than that. If I'm having a bad day, pick the best one and use that. They're playing through the whole thing really, really flawlessly. And if this is a style of playing you're interested in, and much like myself, you're very green to it, is cut yourself a ton of slack, because it's not like you develop those chops overnight, you know what I mean? Something you really have to work on. But the way to do it is by picking out these little licks, these little ideas, and committing it to kind of muscle memory. So not just necessarily the licks, but the techniques involved as well. One of the really challenging things here is trying to build the finger strength and dexterity, the muscle memory, while still remaining relaxed. Particularly when you're beginning, we try to like brute force things, so you might find out you get like a better hammer-on sound if you really hammer into it. After a while, you realise it's more to do with technique than brute force. If you kind of think of is it Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch, so it's like pure technique, and it's better than like most people could do if we put our full body weight into it. I have done a video lesson on legato and some stuff that's still a work in progress for me, in all honesty, but stuff that really helped my legato technique in general. I've had a bad habit of anchoring and playing too hard, and I didn't notice how adverse effect it had on my playing until I'd be like kind of jamming or playing for a while, and I'd start to feel things tensing up and almost kind of seizing. And a lot of that was I was just using far much more strength than I needed to. So if you love this kind of sparkly, chimey, delicate way of playing, I'd say a compressor and working on your legato and try to keep things as smooth as possible while still getting the sound. If you want to see more of this stuff, hit me up on Patreon, give me suggestions, click subscribe to make sure you never miss out on new videos. You can check out these ones here. If you don't want to do that, like and a comment goes a really long way. But cheers guys, I hope you're all having a great one.